Hello and welcome back to the 5 Cent Cigar Newscast. I'm Leah Crowley. Thank you for joining us. Coming up this week, we sat down with URI community members who are still surfing and how URI dining is feeding students in quarantine. Plus, stick around for your Roadie Sports Corner. URI students with COVID-19 who are quarantining in the hotel have mixed feelings about how they are being treated. Evan McAlice has the story.
When URI students test positive or come into contact with the coronavirus, they are required to quarantine at a hotel off campus. Due to contractual restrictions with URI housing, the quarantine hotel will remain unnamed. One student, who asked to remain anonymous, quarantined at the hotel for 2 weeks in October after their suite mate tested positive for COVID-19.
It was very isolating. Was able to do my classes and get work done, but I was bored for the most part. I would try to watch like Netflix and stuff to pass the time.
Safety precautions implemented at the hotel included daily monitored outdoor time and regular wellness checks for both symptomatic and asymptomatic students. While these safety measures were effective, many aspects of student safety were not as well developed.
They could have had locked some of the outside doors, on the sides of the hotels. I know some people were coming into the hotels that weren't supposed to be.
According to Director of Dining Services Pierre St. Germain, students at the hotel are given a bag of groceries containing various snack and breakfast foods. Dining Services also delivers lunch items and dinner entrees every day in the mid-afternoon.
So staff gets in early in the morning. They're, plowing through to get the meals themselves, the dinner entrees, put together so that it's as fresh as possible, so students are getting it same day production. Currently, we are producing 137 meals for students, which means we're probably sending out about 175.
Dining Services stays in frequent contact with students who have allergies and other dietary restrictions to make sure their needs are being met.
When we send out these additional meals, we'll send out some traditional ones, whatever's being served that evening, but then we'll probably send one of each of a vegan one and a vegetarian one and a gluten-free one, just to ensure that if there's somebody who has that allergy or intolerance, that they're able to, get food as well.
Many students who have quarantined at the hotel have cited the lack of available food options as a major concern.
You were kind of on your own for breakfast, so they would give you little cereal and oatmeal. So you'd have to eat that for breakfast. And then lunch and dinner, it was just, one option. I was also vegetarian at the time for a while, and I just didn't really like the options they gave me. I mean, thank God they gave me vegetarian options, but I just didn't really eat a lot of food at all.
According to St. Germain, students who have issues with their meals are encouraged to contact the hotel's front desk.
But when we send out 150 meals to students, we also send out a percentage to each location where they're being housed as extras, because if a student says, hey, I'm still hungry, all you have to do is contact someone at the front desk if they're at the hotel. So, we plan for a contingency for every location. And if someone gets a meal one night or for at one point in time, they're like, I don't like this, all they have to do is contact one of these groups and depending on where they are, and say, hey, do you have any, if they liked last night's meal, do you have any last night's meal available?
Dining Services is continuing to learn more about student dietary needs in an effort to branch out and ensure that each student is being accommodated for. Evan McAlice reporting, 5 Cent Cigar News.
If you've been to Narragansett Beach recently, you may have noticed people surfing despite the frigid temperatures. Nicole Wagner has more.
Surfing in general is like a disease. You catch it and then that's it. If you're really into it, because if you don't want to get out of the water, you're freezing, your jaw's chattering, you're like, no, just one more. And once that happens, you're pretty much ruined.
This year, surf camps have seen an increased interest as people search for activities amid the pandemic.
This has been the busiest winter we've ever had, I think because of the virus. A lot of people want to go learn how to surf, a lot of people want to get in the water.
And I think that's in part for two reasons. One is that kids do like to surf, and it seems to be a socially accepted distancing activity that people feel comfortable with. And kids just need to be around other kids. So I think that that was a big part of it.
Surfing requires a couple of things, namely swimwear, the ability to do a push-up, and of course, a surfboard.
Whenever you want to start surfing, the bigger the board, the better. Because the bigger the board has more float, so that's what's going to get you into the wave. So a longer board, or at least a mid-range in size, something with a round nose and a lot of volume, because you want float and you want stability.
Winter might not be the best time to take up the sport, as you'll have to get used to wearing a wetsuit. Nevertheless, surfers continue to brave the cold for that floating feeling that keeps them coming back.
Surfing is like, it's like a religion. Once you get into it, you're addicted for life.
Nicole Wagner reporting, 5 Cent Cigar News.
And now over to Aniekan Okon with your Rhody Sports Corner.
Rhode Island women's volleyball coach Nicky Holmes made his debut this past weekend as his team took on the George Mason Patriots in a pair of conference games. Fast forward to the second set, George Mason's Peyton MK put some heat on the swing to give the Patriots the point. Mason would go on to win this set. But the Rams would come charging back. Here, Claire Chaplinsky spikes it past the Patriots' defense. She would finish the match with 16 kills in 18 days. A few serves later, Mariah Paulette would earn the kill to keep things close. The match would eventually go to a decisive fifth set. With the match on the line, Taylor Terry would tap it over the net. Multiple Rams would try to return the ball but would fail to do so. George Mason would go on to win 3-2. Despite the loss, the team was just happy to be back on the court after a rough few weeks.
It's amazing to be back out here. I mean, 455 days for me is way too long. And I'm just so happy and grateful to finally be back out here. It's my favorite place in the world, and I'm with my favorite people in the world. Just even though it's a COVID year, it's still a great experience, and I'm so happy that we finally are able to do this.
Back on the court Sunday, it would be a completely different story for the Rams. The Rams would dominate from start to finish. Here, Natalie Zenolato would slam it past Erin Derrick for the kill. Yanni Lopez Barahona would get into the action with this spike past the Rams' defense. She would finish the game with a career-high 21 kills. The Rams would go on to defeat the Patriots in straight sets to earn Coach Holmes his first victory as the head coach of the women's volleyball team. He spoke post-game about what the accomplishment meant.
I'm so happy for them that, it's hard to bounce back less than 24 hours and try to do something. So I'm really excited. Personally, I'm ecstatic, clearly. I think it's a wonderful thing for the program and kind of our future.
The team's next opponent is yet to be determined. The Rams were supposed to play Fordham next weekend before the university paused all team activities. Reporting inside of Keeney Gymnasium, I'm Aniekan Okon, 5 Cent Cigar Sports.
According to URI's COVID-19 tracker, for the week of February 8th through February 14th, there have been 116 positive cases with a positive test rate of 1.84%. That's all we have for you this week at the 5 Cent Cigar Newscast. Stay safe, Rhody.